What's up, nerds? It's Card Shoe Collector Dan, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to make just a little bit different of a video, a more personal video, just me talking to the camera directly instead of showing you off my cards, as this video don't have any cards to show. I actually sold some cards this past weekend. It was my first time vending at the Best Flipping Card Show in Woburn, Massachusetts. Actually, let me clarify that. It was my first time vending, period, and happened to be at that show. But anyway, I wanted to make this video going over my top 5 biggest takeaways from that show as a new vendor. As someone who's usually on the buying side of the table, I thought it was pretty interesting to see what it's like on the selling side. And I think I learned a lot about the future cards I'm going to go after, as well as more strategies I can implement into my own Pokemon investing and, I guess now, vending/selling journey. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Number one biggest takeaway I made is that raw is king. And I know you've seen me in my past videos showing off all the cards I'm planning on grading. I don't really talk much about collecting raw cards. That's because I'm not a raw collector. I'm a collector of graded cards. But that's kind of in the minority of people, I think. In fact, I think the majority of Pokemon hobbyists are raw collectors. They're binder collectors. They want cards for their binders. They want cards that they can hold, take out, hell, even bend in half, play with. I mean, I saw a ton of kids at the show. But yeah, I think raw is your most liquid cards you can sell at the show because it can always be turned into a slab, right? I think majority of people who looked at my raw were either children or adults such as myself who were looking to grade these cards, and also adults who maybe just wanted cards for their binders. But I also think that some of these people were definitely looking at my cards to try to grade them. Like, that was for sure an observation. Probably about 20% of the people who looked at my cards, I could tell they were looking them up and down, like taking them out of the top loader, card saver, really looking at the corners, edges, make sure the centering looked good, and they looked it over for a good amount of time before deciding to pull the trigger and buy. Which I thought was interesting because all the cards I was selling were actually my rejects from the grading pile. Any cards that I thought were sure to hit a 10 or had enough chance where it was worth it to roll the dice, I have set back up in my room upstairs, and I will be grading next month when I do another PSA submission. So I thought it was interesting that raw was super liquid, and there were still a bunch of people from all different ages, and whether they want to eventually turn those cards into graded cards or if they just wanted to buy the cards for their binder, both those groups of people were interested in raw. And that's why I think raw is just the king of the hobby, to be honest, because it can always be turned into a graded card, or it can be just kept and collected as is. So I think that's why it kind of sold the best for us. And I guess moving on to number 2, kind of goes hand in hand with that, is that binders are a must. I had the oversight to think that, I didn't need a binder. A binder's a waste of time. I don't need to price out all these smaller dollar cards. It just was a waste of my time. But my buddy, who also ran the table with me, he took the time to price out his binder, and his binder was not very good. He'll say it himself. It had maybe $1 to $5 cards, not very popular, bulk EXs, A-spec cards, low popular Pokemon illustration cards, and that was really it. But he probably made a good $150 from that binder. That binder was almost empty by the time we were done, and I was really impressed about how many people were flipping through the binder, taking out cards. And yeah, I think that it's worth your time to fill out a binder with low-end cards if you have them just laying around for maybe previous pack rips or whatnot. Because there's definitely a high interest. People just love flipping through binders. So I think that's a must if you're going to be vending a card show. Number 3, don't sleep on 151 bulk. Now, my buddy, again, shout out to Miles, he had a great idea to price his 151 bulk at $1 a card. His reverse hollows, that is. So he just threw them in an empty booster box, slapped a sticky note, $1 per reverse hollow, 151. And I think he made like 80 bucks, like 80 of them sold from 151 bulk. Now, let's remember, Scarlet and Violet era, you get 2 reverse hollows per pack. So if you're selling them at $1, and you have these packs like $5, right? Like, you're getting 40% of the pack value back just in the 2 reverse hollows, which is unheard of in Pokemon. Like, please do not sleep on 151 bulk. I have a big stack over there that I've got to go through before the next card show. We're going to be vending in January, get it all together and get it ready to be sold for $1 each. Because there are just so many people. We probably saw a dozen people at least come up with their 151 binders and just pick out what they needed to finish off their master set. I think 151 is going to go down in history as not only one of the best sets of all time, but also one of the most master-setted sets of all time. What that says for the value of the singles going forward, probably nothing good. But in terms of the demand for the sealed product and the current demand for reverse hollows, I think it really only is up in the short term, especially if the reprint of Booming Waters isn't coming out until February, which I tried to pre-order today at GameStop, but that unfortunately is not out quite yet. I think that you cannot go wrong just stocking any 151. Even non-reverse hollows, just regular hollows. I think you can do well just saying $1 each regular hollows of 151. I think people will buy them, which is hilarious because, you know, who would ever have thought the bulk could go for that much? But anyway, that is another takeaway from the show, is that 151 bulk and just anything 151 is just massive. Like, highly recommend. As I'm sure all you guys know how important it would be to have 151 at your potential table to sell. Just don't sleep on the bulk is all. Number 4, sealed cells. Now, I had 9 Tempest ETBs that I got for the $20 Black Friday deal from Target that had arrived by the time the show was commencing. So I was able to bring all of those, and I sold all those. Most of them sold for $35, and then I sold, I guess a third of them sold for $35, 3 of them, and then the last 6 I sold to one guy for $180. So yeah, like $30 a box, which, I mean, I paid like $22 with tax, so that was a nice little flip there. I don't really value Silver Tempest as much in the long term as 151 and other sets I'm currently holding. So I was okay just quickly flipping that into the market. And plus, I think I have another 6 or 8 of them arrive a couple days later from Target. And then I got 12 Lost Origin as well that I'm just going to sit on because I think that set's going to do better in the long term. But yeah, it was pretty impressive, the demand for the Silver Tempest. Even though we were kind of in the back of the show, so a lot of people probably already spent their money on sealed at the front because there are a ton of vendors there, obviously, and you had to walk through the entire show base to get to us. So surprising to see people want sealed, even though they had so many opportunities to buy it before. But anyway, and then my buddy put out his display of 151 booster bundles for $60 a box, and he sold out. I then put out mine right at the end for $65 because I wasn't as keen to get rid of them, and I sold one. But still, like, selling out of booster bundles at $60 a booster bundle when they usually retail for less than $30, and we're at the back of the show, is just incredibly impressive. It just even kind of solidified more that when sealed gets to a cheap enough price, you just need to buy as much as you can, especially if you're planning on vending. It was nice locally to be able to sell for cash in person, so we didn't have to worry about shipping or fees or anything like that, which is the big setback when it comes to investing in sealed, in my opinion. So if you do plan on vending shows locally in the future, I highly recommend investing in sealed. And you should use money that you don't worry about what's going to happen to it in the next, say, 1 to 2, even 3 to 5 years. It should be money that you're considering as an investment. It's not money you need next month for your rent. It's not money you need in 6 months to get a new car. You know what I mean? And if you go into it with that mindset, I think you're really going to set yourself up for success in this hobby. All right, and the last one, number 5 big takeaway, is that slabs were stagnant, which was a little bit surprising and honestly disappointing as someone who has a 40-card submission coming back from PSA, hopefully next week, and has majority of their collection in slabs. It was interesting to see how few slabs sold. At our entire table, we probably had about 40 slabs, maybe 30 slabs. I'll have pictures in the video, either the thumbnail or I'll flash them instead of my face. You can look at those pictures of what our table looked like, but it's probably less than 30. It's probably 20 now that I'm saying it. I had a few in my case I didn't really put out because didn't really want to get rid of them, but anyway, that's not the point. Anyway, out of all the slabs we had, we only sold 2 of them. One of which was the vintage Umbreon Neo Discovery, I believe, that I sold for $450. Bought it for $4 at CollectCon in Chicago, so that was a nice little flip there. It has a really nice swirl in it, possible double hollow error, so I think the buyer actually did really well on that, possibly. But I just wanted to quickly get rid of it, get my money out of it, because I already have another copy. And honestly, I kind of want a first edition one, not even unlimited. So but anyway, that was the one slab that sold. And then the other slab that sold was a PSA 10 Legendary Birds Tag Team promo from Hidden Fates for even 100. Actually, it was really just like I got 45, and then I got Venusaur trade at 80%. Which I still haven't sold, which hopefully I sell at the January show, or else I'm not going to feel as good about that. But anyway, I think I paid $15 for the Birds promo maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. That was my original PC copy, so I really had $30 into it. So either way, I'm doing just fine. But yeah, that was it for slabs, which was surprising. like I said, we're getting that PSA submission hopefully next week, and then we have the show we're vending in early January. So I should have maybe a dozen more alt arts, hopefully all in PSA 10 of popular Pokemon to put out the table and see what that looks like. I'll have an updated video once that show is completed, and hopefully I can say I was wrong about slabs being stagnant. But even at the end of the day of the show, my buddy held down the fort for the last hour. I just walked around, picked up a couple cards, which I'll show off in my December pickups video that I'll make at the end of the month. But I looked around and so many vendors had so many modern slabs. Like, it looked like their table was just full of modern slabs just because they didn't sell anything all day, which, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe they had some restocks they were able to throw in once things sold. But I saw a lot of popular Pokemon slabs. Like, I saw maybe a half dozen Charizard EX PSA 10s. I saw a lot of the Evolution box promos. I don't know if it's because it was a box promo versus like the set card evolutions. Maybe that's why they looked stagnant. But then I saw a lot of special illustration rare PSA 10s as well, of 151 and other popular sets. Like, it was pretty interesting. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking it might not be the play to grade everything. Like, I think you should really only grade cards where you can still make money trading it to a vendor at 80%. I think you need to take into account the illiquidity of some of these modern cards, because I think the people who do collect slabs, majority of people who collect modern slabs, grade themselves, I think, or are knowledgeable enough to go to GameStop and send in the cards themselves. Like, they would rather look for the card raw themselves than just buy the slab outright. I don't think that's true for everyone, but I think that's becoming more and more the trend, especially with GameStop opening up grading for new people to maybe just give grading a try for the first time. I don't think grading makes as much sense as it once did. Now, I'm obviously still sending cards to PSA. Like, I have probably another 40 cards I'll have together for this January submission I've been talking about. We're going to wait for the release of Prismatic Evolutions, crack a couple PC ETBs, grade the promos, and hopefully a couple hits and a couple Master Balls, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think people should take a second thought about what they're grading. I think it's more important now to make sure you have enough profit in the card to where you can trade it to a vendor at 80% for maybe a vintage card you want more, or even just for some seals from a vendor, who knows, really whatever you're after. But I think that grading modern, trading at 80% for vintage could be a play I try to do to grow my vintage collection. It is kind of something I need to balance with me vending shows in the future, because I'm hoping now to vend at least a half dozen shows in 2025, if not more. I'm already locked in for 3 at the show I vended this past weekend, which was awesome. Like, I'm very happy about that. I think that's a really good show to be a part of, and hopefully we can find a couple other shows to vend throughout the year. But yeah, anyway, guys, I think that's pretty much it for the video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about how the show went, if you're trying to vend yourself, if you have any questions about what cards you think make sense to buy to then flip down the line as a vendor. And besides that, yeah, this is just my first video really talking to the camera. I'm hoping to do more videos like this going into 2025. I am moving soon, so I was kind of waiting until I had my new place and I could put like a nice background up behind me of all my Pokemon stuff, like a lot of YouTubers do. Not that I'm a YouTuber, but I guess I technically am. Anyway, that's pretty much it for now. Look for more videos from me coming the end of this month. Hopefully do a PSA return video next week when we get that back, and then a December pickups video at the end of the year. And then into 2025, there should be a video about the January show we vend, as well as hopefully a video showing off what I'm spending to PSA in January as well. Anyway, guys, made it this far. Thanks so much for watching. Put a cheeseburger emoji down in the comments if you somehow saw this late into the video. But anyways, take care. Thank you.